Welcome to the Cross the Line Podcast. My name is Carlos Smith, and today we have another very special guest with us out here in Los Angeles, California. He's the producer of the 2023 LA Comedy Festival, comedian John Grimes. John, how you doing?
Yes, sir. I'm good. How's it going, boss?
Man, I can't complain. John, first off, just let me say how thankful I am for you giving us the opportunity, come to your festival, because I know Bilal reached out to you and told you about us, and for you to just move so swiftly, just accommodate us. I know you had a lot of stuff going on when we got there and everything, but for you to take that chance on us and give us an opportunity, man, I greatly appreciate that opportunity for what you've done for us, because you didn't even have to do that, but for you to give us, share your platform with us and let us interview so many different comedians, I just want to say thank you for that opportunity.
No, man, I thank y'all for coming, man. I try to, if there's a space that can be had, I'm trying to do it, because I am like y'all. I'm trying to get into whatever we can to expand the network and things like that. And to me, it can't hurt. Like, unless somebody is really ruining something, why are you not letting them have a chance? You know what I'm saying? You ain't did nothing to me to make me think like, nah. So, like, blog, said good things about y'all, and it's like, it's a different aspect to the festival that I had not even considered. So, the idea that comments were like, oh, we get to rap with somebody when we get off stage, or even to talk about our experience, it allows you to decompress a little bit as a performer. So, it just seemed like a smart addition to it. So, thank y'all for coming. It ended up in a great location too, so that layout of the club just really set it up for that.
Yeah, it was very dope, man. And I just to be able to hear all those comedians, because it's another side of comedians that you don't really get to see so often. Most of the time you just hear them on stage, but you never get to hear them like reflect on their journey and what they're going through and their struggles and their successes and everything. So for us to see, like, for them to share like where they came from and what they had to get through, what they went through just to be at the festival, man, they just made my respect for comedians just go up even more, because it was everybody goes through something, and just to hear those backstories, man, it was just very fascinating. So, man, I was just thankful to be able to, use your platform, for you sharing your platform with us, and just, getting those stories out of there.
It was dope, man. I just was excited for everybody. So that's like my goal, is to highlight people. So it's cool though too, because comics don't get to talk about it. Their set is so short, they can't even get into the gritty of their own life usually, because we got so many short sets, 5-10 minutes. So to talk about it, that's really dope for them.
Absolutely. How many festivals have you done?
This was the second one. I did one last year, and I thought it was gonna be like a one and done situation, but ended up having the opportunity to do it again. Shout out to Ice House for allowing me to. But yeah, last year somebody saw me at a comedy club and was like, yo, I got this big building I own. I want you just to do whatever you want in it. And I was like, okay. And then I went to go see it, because I thought he was a kidnapper or something like that. I went to go see it, and ended up in this big building with like a psych wall. I was like, this thing is huge. You don't need no show her. You have a festival in here. I was just like jokingly saying that. And I was like, you know what? Buddy, let's have a festival in here. He's like, whatever you want to do, bro. So I put that together in another like a month or so, and it just went really well. So I was just like, you know what? That was cool. The comments were like, this is fun. Make sure you do it again. I was like, nah, I don't think these guys want to have another one here, but it was cool to do.
So the first one wasn't at Ice?
No, it was in some random random businessman's building he bought. They bought a building. They were letting people do commercials and stuff there, like music videos, those kind of film studios. And so when I went there, everybody saw it. We were like, oh, it's big, it's huge, man. You can have more than one thing here. So I turned it into more than one show. So we had like 5 or 6 shows in 2 days. Chaos. But it was fun. We learned a lot. And then I was like, next year, maybe. But as the years came, this whole year, the months leading up to this, up until about maybe August, people were like, yo, so you gonna do the festival again? I'm like, I don't know, man. I ain't really heard from nobody. Anybody really trying to let me have that again. And then, like I said, Ice House came through maybe September, like, yo, let's do it. And so here we are, kind of rushed it all together again. A couple things I had to put together, but it ended up being really, really fun.
Yeah, so it was a very dope experience, man. Like I said, to see everybody from different walks of life and all over the country come to your event, man, that's major. Just to see how you operating in your purpose and in your gift, and how they can bring so many other people together just for laughter and just whatever it is what they might be going through in that moment, for you to be able to create something that brings them joy and gives them some happiness and laughter, and just even if it's just for that particular moment.
Yeah,
that's a powerful feeling.
Comedy definitely is an escape, or some people just like how they deal with things. People use it as a defense mechanism, a coping mechanism. You gotta think about what makes somebody want to go laugh anyway, right? When you go seek out laughter, it's something that people don't really think about. But if I'm in a comedy club and it's a full room, what made everybody, let's say if they're not fans of a particular person, what makes a person go get a laugh? Something could be going on in their life, right? And so you never know whose life you could change or impact by one of your jokes or something you say. So obviously my favorite compliment from a person that watches me perform is I needed that laugh. Because that's deeper than I even know about.
So to let you know they're going through
exactly.
something. Yeah.
And I still got you to put a smile on for a little brief period of time. It's an escape. Your reality's gonna be there when we walk out of this club, but to put together a festival means I get multiple comedians with different walks of life to be able to showcase themselves and let people reach out and seek what resonated with them the most. Like, oh my God, I got so many different comedians and so many of them talk about different things, even exposing me to different walks of life even. Right? Because we have so many diverse comics that some things you just didn't know about, comics might be educating you too at the same time. So the festival really allows for like a grocery store vibe of like, man, I forgot I came here for AIDS, but I need milk too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I didn't know I needed something. You know what I'm saying? Like everything is kind of like that at a festival, and that's the goal, is just to let people see these people who don't get as much shine, especially in LA. It's hard to get up on stage in LA. So I got 60 plus comics on stage in LA in a 4-day period. That's a victory. A lot of those comics had never performed in LA before or had never made a comedy festival before, which is another hard task to do. So it was just a lot about winning. Everybody seemed to be winning coming out of that. So I'm happy. I'm very happy.
Successful weekend. Have you had time to just sit back and reflect on like how successful the weekend was? Because during that moment, I know you probably didn't get a chance to like understand everything that's going on, because you're in the green room, you're in the showroom and everything. Like, have you had time to like fully process like everything that you've done and created like a successful festival?
No, and I honestly say I'm not even gonna make a post yet until I do this with y'all, because then maybe my brain will start to slow down a little bit more and go, oh yeah, I meant to make sure I mention that in my thank you post. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I will make sure I talk with y'all and let me like kind of get more than just a paragraph from the conversation out of it. Like talk, chat, rap, think about everything. And honestly, I gotta go day by day. Like you said, when y'all saw me and I was like, hey, I want to meet y'all. Oh shit, 5 minutes of showtime. Oh, let me get the whole shit. Yeah. And then the manager didn't know that I was bringing out. So she's like, where they going? I'm like, oh, I'll find out in a second. Like, I was like pretending like I knew what was happening in my head. I'm like, I'm not doing anything I planned. I'm moving on the fly non-stop. And so that to me was like, you gotta jump out of that brain and do things. But it hasn't hit me. Even when Friday night, y'all was there Friday night, right? For the competition. We was there Friday, yeah. A zoo of a show, and like we had chaotic situations happening with the voting. We couldn't get all the names on the list to vote, and so we had chaos. I'm just like, oh my gosh! Yeah. But everything was about adjusting and being flexible. Yep. And so I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about how to interact with people, how to keep things moving, how to jump in and out of conversations. I just kept learning more and more tools and skills, and it hasn't hit me yet, man. Like, I'm reading some of the posts from other comics, and they say all this nice stuff. And I'm like, damn, they talking about me, you know? But it still hasn't really sunken in yet, man. And I got a little time this weekend. I'm traveling, so maybe at the hotel I'll be able to go, all right, let's look at all these pictures that I haven't even looked at yet. Right. So,
how does that make you feel, this person, just to be able to, like I said, I appreciate you for sharing your platform with us, and we're not comedians. We're in the media space, and journalists, and we do interviews with entrepreneurs and athletes. But for you to be able to give people that are in your space, comedians that are looking to come up, how does that feel to you, for you to be able to give those people an opportunity?
It's rewarding, man. It really does make you feel like you have a greater goal and a greater purpose. Like, comedians are individual comics, and it's like a one-man sport, like the golfs and the tennis and things like that. So you feel like you're only responsible for your success by winning your tournaments, how they play in golf and whatnot, right? Or tennis. Like if you win your tournament, you're the man. But I don't feel like it needs to be that way. There's still a league of professionals. There's a league of professional golfers. There's a league of professional tennis players. We all pros. Let's get it, right? So in my brain, I'm like, all right, well, if I can push the envelope further, we all benefit from it. And it's kind of like an investment. I used to be a banker, so I kind of tell comics this when they wanted to be a part of the festival. I was like, yo, when I was an investment banker, my portfolio had to do well, but my portfolio had your money in it. So I'm just as interested as my portfolio doing well as you are, because I don't want to lose no money.
Right.
So you invest with me, and I'm trying to win too. As a comic creating a comedy festival, I want CAA there too. I want the talent agencies. I want Netflix there too. Because if they see y'all, who else they gonna see? Me. So if I'm winning, y'all winning. There's no downside to creating an opportunity for everybody to get success from. And we had agents there. We had entertainment companies there. They had names of people they watched. Like, yo, who is this person? How can I get in contact with this comedian? And I was just like, I don't know if it's possible or not, but if I impacted one comic's life from this festival, that's something I would not have done without it.
Exactly.
So your 7 minutes on stage could change your life at any point. And I'm sitting there creating an opportunity where maybe one of these shows could have done that for you. Exactly. So to me, that was the ultimate reward, thinking like, dang, man, somebody might come up off of this.
Yep.
And best case scenario, they go, man, I came up off this festival. Let me reach back. Oh, dude, put me in that position. You know what I'm saying? So that's a thank you. But to me, it's just a success of seeing people win. And that's the most rewarding part, because I always believe I'll be fine. Like, I'm going to get what I'm going to get. But hey, if I can bring us up on the elevator, let's do it.
And that's how you continue to get your blessings, because even as you look to ascend and go where you're trying to go, you're helping other people, and you're bringing them up and elevating them along your way. And the thing is if it changes somebody's life in that moment, they're gonna be able to tell other comedians, hey, this is where I went to, and they're gonna keep on.
Further validates, further strengthens the success, the name. Like, I feel like maybe last year when I did it, they was like, LA Comedy Fest. Damn, ain't no LA Comedy Fest. Who doing it? Jagger. This year it's like, they doing it again? Okay. Where is it? Oh, it's at a comedy club this year. Oh, okay. Oh, they got headliners? When was the submission? I didn't know anything. Like, now it's starting to be like people coming at me at the middle of the festival, like, yo, why didn't I know about this? How could I submit? Like, can I do it next year? Like, people are already asking the questions that they weren't asking last year. So that's a sign of growth right there, as people are missing out versus questioning the validity of it. I had real comics, I had big comics performing. So you can't, I had judges that ran on TV shows or TV actors, book shows all across the country. And, you know, the highlight for me was that on Friday night, the comedy competition night, Pookie Wigginton came to the competition. And if, you don't know who he is, or anybody out there, he's the executive producer of so many shows, a lot of things that Kevin Hart does, for sure. Real Husbands of Hollywood, things like that. You'll see his name on so many comedy specials or TV productions, and like big name in Hollywood. So for him to even walk through our festival, to ask validation too.
It's major.
Cause he ain't coming to your show. If he was, you just shouted it out. But he's in, at the festival. I'm just proud to be a part of something that brings that kind of industry out. You know what I'm saying?
Because people, one of the most precious things in life is time, and people could be doing so many other things with their time, and for them to come to your festival, and like you said, you had big time headliners as well. For everybody to come, support you and help you elevate other comedians, man, like that's a major move, and everybody's not fortunate to be in that type of position that you're in, to be able to give those opportunities like that, and then have those type of co-signers to vouch for what you're putting together.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm more grateful than anything else, because those comedians that I booked, Tony Rock, Ida Rodriguez, Tahir Moore, Ryan G, just to name a few of them, they didn't have to say yes. They didn't have to agree to do it. They didn't have to put their name on something they didn't know had validity. They didn't so for them to say yes and do it just makes me seem more legit. It validates what I was trying to do, which is that we can have you guys who are showcasing, but we got a big name at the end to bring it all together. It strengthens the show. So, turnouts and things like that, it's just going to keep growing.
Yep.
The product was fine. Everybody walked away from every show going, the comics were hilarious. This was a great show. So that's my goal. Is like, how do I get more people to know about this so the next year we out of tickets by Showtime. I want to be out of tickets. That's the main goal. It's like make people go, no, this is can't miss comedy. This festival puts together really funny lineups.
Absolutely. So we're going to get into your story. We're going to go all the way back. Like I said, thank you again for that festival and just kind of like reflecting on it. I know you're going to do more reflecting on it when you have some more time.
Sure.
But just tell everyone watching this so where are you originally from?
I am from St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
Went to high school, moved away for college, went to Purdue University. That's actually where I discovered I wanted to do stand-up. And so I dropped out of Purdue and wanted to move to LA. And so that's all of that I had decided like on campus at Purdue. Like I saw Eddie Murphy Raw. That's what I actually saw, that DVD. Watched it and said, oh, no, this college stuff ain't for me. I need to move to LA and do comedy. And so I just, it took a couple years to get that going, but I moved to LA in 2013. Started doing comedy as soon as I got out here. And it's been a crazy 10 years. It's crazy. This is year number 10 out in LA. So,
were you growing up? Were you kind of like the class clown or the kid that always cracked jokes growing up?
Yes. We got a funny family. My siblings have always been humorous, and we grew up poor, or just not with everything, not having it all. And when you don't have it all, you kind of make fun of things, even ourselves. We found ourselves just making fun of our situation a lot. And that kind of humor just had us ready for life. And so every class I was in, if I wasn't the funniest person in my class, it was a competition to win that title. And I still jokingly talk about how senior year I got second place in most comedic. And I was like, that's my villain origin story right there. I should have just won it. If I'd have won it, I probably wouldn't have been a comedian. I'd have been like, I told y'all I was the funniest. Now I'm just chasing after this ghost of a kid who don't even know why I'm going after. He ain't no comedian either, which is funny, but it was just, I'm still mad about that.
Did you play any sports or any like extracurricular activities like outside of when you were growing up?
No, man. Like we really moved around so much that we just I couldn't get stuck on a team. I tried to play basketball maybe like in elementary school or going into middle school. That didn't work out. I wanted to play baseball when I got to high school. But the way we moved, it was just so unstable that we couldn't get the school to take us to whatever location we kept changing to. So, wanted to play sports, never did. But I did start I joined the debate team briefly in high school, which checks out. But other than that, I could never get on a team, man.
I think when and I've been asking all the comedians, this is like, I know you said Eddie Murphy was the guy that made you want to do comedy. For me, when I first kind of got that exposure to comedy, like I saw, of course we watched the sitcoms like Martin, Jamie Foxx, Wayne Brothers. You watch Fresh Prince and Living Color, those different shows, but to really like be exposed to the stand-up comedy side of like just hearing them use profanity and everything.
Yeah.
The first time that I really remember seeing that was the Kings of Comedy.
Oh yeah,
and
that was big.
Cedric the Entertainer, Steve Harvey, Bernie Mac, and DL. That was the first time I really heard comedians talking a different light, because on TV, like you can't use
censor.
that.
Yeah. I watched the comic views and whatnot, and I remember laughing, thinking like we still watch comic views. And I was like, this is funny. I didn't know you could like really do this. Like I thought these guys were all just like actors. I didn't understand what stand up was yet. And then I remember watching Kings of Comedy, thinking like, and Cedric from St. Louis, so that was a big deal to St. Louis people. Like, oh snap, Cedric Entertainer here, and I thought these guys are really good at it, and I really didn't understand yet that it was an art form. I just understood like, man, people being funny on TV, but even by themselves, is very impressive, and it just did not register until I watched it and realized like, when I watched Eddie Murphy's Raw, I realized like, wait a minute. Did he do this before the movies? Like, was he already doing this and then he ended up getting movies because of this? Like, he was just so funny by himself. And I was like, is stand-up comedy like a career? And like that's what made me say it like that. I always was just thinking everybody was funny, but I understand like he built it from stand-up.
Right.
Like, and so that's when I was like, I could do stand-up. I want to do stand-up. So the movies and all that stuff I just wasn't really thinking about. I was always thinking like, nah, this part right here. To go back a little bit in terms of like my public speaking, we grew up in the church aggressively, like 4 or 5 days a week church. And every holiday, Easter, Christmas, things like that, all the kids, there's always a program, Easter program or the Christmas program, kids come out and do a speech. You know, little kids go, Merry Christmas everybody, other kids might do a little poem, like 4 or 5 lines. I would have pages. Like the church members would go, John can memorize pages, give him the longest speech. And so I would go up and do the longest speech, I would go last, because everybody else's speeches was short, and I'd go to do these long speeches, paragraphs worth, and then I get done, everybody started clapping like crazy. And I was like, well, this is nice. This is really cool they're doing this for me. And from a young age, like I'm talking like 8, 9, 7, 8, I was memorizing the longest speeches every year. And I thought about that when I got into comedy, that I was like, why do I not feel uncomfortable on stage? I used to think that when I first started comedy. I was like, I'm never nervous about being on stage. As soon as I get on stage, I always go, this feels normal to me. And it took a while for me to realize, my mom had to remind me like, well, yeah, you always was talking on stage back in the day. And I was like, oh, I've been on stage before. And the church is really what a lot of people were fostered into whatever they're good at. The Whitney Houston's, Fantasia's, like the church will create you.
Right.
And uplift you to be a person that you go, oh, okay, I got encouragement at an early age for something. And I just didn't realize like I was a public speaker and the church members were, hey, yeah, boy, because they give you the class and all right now. And you're like, well, maybe I am doing something. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about that. But once I found out what my core skill was, which is humor, I was like, okay, well, how do I combine those two? And then that's when I really put it all together around 18 or 19, realizing like stand-up comedy, got it. That's something that I can do. I should go do that.
So, what did you think you thought you might have wanted to be before that? Because I know you said you high school and you went to college for 2 years. But what did you think you initially wanted to be before being a comedian?
Earlier in my like pre-college days, everybody thought I was going to be a lawyer or an engineer. Those are the kind of jobs people kept throwing at me, or a preacher, if you ask my mom. But you know, something in like the field of speaking, because I mean, like I was a spelling bee. I used to just do so much with words and linguistics and all that. I was always into like etymology and words, where words come from, Latin, things like that. So I was always into like speaking and connecting with people. So I knew that I liked doing it, and I didn't know what I was going to do per se at Purdue. So I had a business management is what I went there for.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, well maybe I'll start my own company and run a company, then start my own company is what I was thinking maybe back then. I've always been business minded and sales minded. So all my jobs, I had a door-to-door job at 13, knocking on doors selling candy to strangers, which is another skill set of connecting with people early on, trying to get something done. So I've just been groomed my whole life to like meet people, create a first impression, and then try to capitalize off of it, which is stand-up too. So door-to-door sales is one of the hardest jobs in the world because you got to make people trust you. All right, and comedy, early on in your set, you have to build trust to get more laughs. So everything about that just made me think like, I don't know, I'm going to college and I'll figure it out when I get there. I just don't need to be around smart people. And orientation day, they gave us a speech and said, you guys are going to come here, you're going to do 4 years, you're going to find great jobs, you're going to live happy lives. And I remember sitting in orientation looking around going, that's what y'all here for? That's not me. That's not me. That's not why I'm here. That sounds crazy. Y'all okay with that? In the middle of the speech, I'm doing that. And everybody else looking at me crazy. And I'm like, oh, that's wild. I can't believe I felt that back then. So
Yeah.
I just always knew I was going to go against some grain at some point. I just didn't know when.
Absolutely, yeah. I felt the same. Well, when I went to college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wasn't ready to go to work. So I was like, man, college is going to give me 4 years to figure it out. My senior year, when I got my internship, covering the Carolina Panthers and Charlotte Hornets, and opportunity, do NASCAR, and being able to see, professional athletes and being able to walk up to them in the locker room and interview, and I saw the game from a different perspective. I was like, man, this is it. I know I can do something like this. And I used to see in my dorm room when First Take first started, well, when Stephen A would drop on there like maybe once or twice a week.
Right.
And I remember just seeing him and Skip talk about sports. I was like, man, that's all they do is just like talk about sports. I was like, I can do something like that. So, not understanding like they had a journey to get to where they are and all of that stuff. Like they had to put in work to get there. I was just like, well, they talking about sports. I can do the same thing. So, end up getting an internship, and Coach Cox gave me an opportunity to travel with him doing high school football, and then Hornets, the Panthers, NASCAR. Because we're from South Carolina, so going to Charlotte, that's like a little bit over an hour away from where we are. So that's the closest professional teams. Got that opportunity, and once I graduated from college, I couldn't get a job in my field, so created my own opportunity. But college is, it's a great thing to go there, try to figure out what you want to do at times. But for me, I just knew, like you were saying, like that, go to college. After college, get a job and just build your benefits and 401k and just retire. It didn't even sit right with me either.
Just weird thing to tell somebody that your path is here. Go ahead and start walking. It's like, what? What about the curvy stuff over there? Fuck, I want to see what's going on. Like, we're not all the same path walkers. So, and then we're supposed to be uncomfortable about traditional stuff like that. Because when you question things, you'll get things done. You create more ways to look at things. So, I like that was your story. What's funny is you said something just now that made me think you didn't get the opportunities when you got done. And so, just for everybody, I know we just talked about the festival for a quick second though, but the creation of the festival was because I couldn't get into a single comedy festival. And I got tired of submitting and paying to submit and then seeing the results of the people who got selected. And I'm like, dog, if I don't get into another festival, I'm gonna throw on my damn self. I told my girl that like a couple years ago, jokingly, like upset. And then I was like, well, fuck it, I guess we're gonna start one in. But sometimes you create out of like this like first like what? Why am I waiting on y'all to tell me if I'm good or not?
Exactly.
If you build it, somebody built the ones I'm trying to get into. And like what you say, you watching Stephen A. It's no offense to what people are doing when you say I can do that. You're just saying we are going to be the next people doing that because he can't do it forever.
Exactly.
Comedians ain't gonna last forever. Like somebody's got to come in and be that guy.
Yep.
So we in the background. We coming.
And I was just so naive. When I just looked at it, I was like, they make a living just talking about sports. And I was just like, man, I think I can do that. I like football and basketball. Let me try to do the same thing. And got it exposure. But like I said, when I just knew I was 22 years old and I was sitting in front of the greatest athletes in the world, I was like, man, this is my big break. I was like, I already know ESPN about to hire me right out of college. Man, I graduated. And I just kept on seeing different applications. And the thing about it is, I was like, man, I don't even know if these people were like genuinely taking the time to look at my resume, because look at the work that I've done. And you just get a generic email saying they went with somebody else. Yeah, so I was like bumping, man. The one job that I do value that I had after college was probably 2 years after I graduated. I got a job at Intercom radio station in Greenville, South Carolina. And they had me learning like the behind the scenes like production work. So I worked for like WRD, like the news station out there. Like we talked about politics and everything, and I worked for ESPN, did some production for ESPN Upstate. So that taught me how to like edit audio. But the thing about it was even with a college degree, they were only willing to pay me $10 an hour, and I was driving an hour to work every day. So I would get up maybe like 4:15 in the morning, be at the radio station by 5:15, 5:30, somewhere around there, depending on traffic. $10 an hour. I get paid either I break even or I'm in the hole. But I was just looking at that opportunity, and it taught me how to do the behind the scenes work of like editing audio. And then my friend Trey taught me how to do the video editing. When I went back to do some work at USC Upstate with the school I graduated from, taught me how to edit audio. But that experience taught me how to, edit audio and put in commercials and cut everything out. I went from doing we used to have like 3-hour radio sports talk shows, and it used to take me like 2 hours to edit the audio. I could take a 3-hour show and edit the whole thing in like 20 minutes tops, just depending on whatever they needed. So doing all of that, even with that experience and not even making a lot of money and being broke, I went through that whole process and I took it and applied it to what I'm doing now. Just like I said, creating my own opportunity. But sometimes you got to do that and, you know, be willing to make those sacrifices and go in the hole at times just to get to where you're trying to go.
Man, I don't know when I'm ever gonna be in the green with stand-up money. Like, I've put so much money into stand-up comedy. The first festival I did, I lost thousands. Like last year I lost thousands, right? So, you know, people like, you know, ask you what goes into it. You gotta be ready to lose. And that's what I've always been okay with doing, is I will lose money, but the opportunity cost, the ability to build something where people go, you ain't going nowhere, you really into this. Like, you know, I'm losing money, but I'm gaining trust right now. People are starting to really go, okay, he might be legit, he might be official. Like, if he do this again, he get this kind of like respect and turn out like companies. And that's all that's next. Like, you go from people to the comics, for me, from people to the professionals to the corporations. And if I get them sponsors and things like that, next thing you know, everybody go, oh man, he flying.
And the thing is, like,
running flying.
You're standing on your word and you're being consistent. Because you know how many times like we see people that talk about doing something and they never really do it, or if they try something, once they don't get the results that they think they're supposed to come with it, they quit.
Yeah.
And that's how it is a lot of times for most people. Like, they'll start, either they're gonna talk about it and not see it through, or they see it, or they start it, don't get what they think it's gonna be a home run right off the bat, don't get those results, and then it's a wrap for them. But to just, you know, continue to stay with and go through all the ups and downs. And I tell people, a lot of times people think it's just us, you know, traveling this glitz and glam and you got microphones and cameras, you just sit down and talk. Nah, it's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, like the time, like you said, the money and investment that you put into this stuff.
Intricacies, so many little details. Like, even this festival, I was like, dog, yes, you see lineups, you see people, you see comics, but I had to look at hundreds of comedians. Hundreds. And I had a 5-minute submission for it. So I had to watch every comedian at least 5 minutes of the material and then narrow that down. And then do the communication back and forth with them to offer them a position, coordinate the events, what show they're going to be on, create the outreach, create the promotion. There's so many things that go into it, as any like work you do. What you see is finished products, and you go, that was a nice finished product. And you're like, if it was a nice finished product, even more work went into creating it. Like, if it's an okay finished product, we took off a little bit on the working hard part up to it. Like, everything you do will show in the results. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's not immediate, it will show in the results. If you said, man, y'all did some good work there, we've been doing good work the whole time. This is a result of that good work. So it's never just overnight. Like, you looking at Stephen A and them telling them, no offense, people need to watch you and go, this ain't easy either. They're doing just as much work. You just ain't on that side of the fence yet. So be inspired by it, but when it comes to duplicating it, be ready to do way more than you thought.
Yeah, you gotta be willing to put in the work, man, and just the sacrifices. And I tell people, man, like I've been telling RJ the whole time, man, even though we shoot these interviews and it looks good out here, and people saw us like online and just like out here, just like looking at where I'm from and the things that I had to go through, and then just, you know, I sacrifice time with my kids, man. I carry my babies everywhere with me. And that's been the toughest part for me. Is like they don't even see that part of like the sacrifice. I could be spending time with my kids, man, but I'm just going after something that I want them to, you know, see. Like Daddy went after his dreams, and he's not settling, just willing to settle for anything. Like you miss that time as well. So it's like you could be doing all of that stuff, but what you're doing is, you know, going after your purpose. And unfortunately, at times, you know, you have to sacrifice that time with your kids on the back end as well.
That's a great point.
And it's tough, man, because even the dopest thing I love about fatherhood is like, even with my kids, like I tell them, like, Daddy, where you going? And tell them I'm traveling, and they know we're doing interviews and microphones and cameras and all that. But at the end of the day, they just want to be with daddy. They're like,
Right.
when they see me, they just see dad.
We
Like,
back.
Exactly.
Play with you.
Yeah, they're like, that's cool. What we getting for Christmas now?
Right.
That's all they saying. Can we go get something to eat? Like my son, when I was on the phone with my son earlier, they're like, Daddy, when you get back, can we go to Pizza Inn? And it's stuff like that, man.
Absolutely.
And it just hit home, and I try not to break down because I get emotional because he ready for me to come home, and then my daughters, man, my baby girls being away from them.
Yeah.
It's a tough part, and people don't see that other side as well. They just see like the interviews or the show that you put together. They don't see that part about family.
Yeah, that's real, man. Like, and obviously the festival's here for me in town, but I travel a lot on the road too with comedy now too. I tour sometimes with comedians, and you be in a hotel, empty hotel. Like, honestly, a lot of this work is the loneliest part is until you start working.
Yes.
Like, you be alone all the time until you get to work. Whether it's the interview or for me getting on stage, I'll be alone the entire time. So when I walk on stage, finally I see people and I go, whew, I was sitting alone for 18 hours back there. Like, thank y'all for being here. But my kids, they FaceTime and they ask questions, you know what I'm saying? And when I walk out of the house at 8 o'clock at night, where you going, Dad? Comedy? Yes, comedy. You know what I'm saying? Like, they understand now that I'm doing something, and I try to like make it not seem like, oh, it's just so unique to me. Like, I'm watching people do it all the time, watching y'all. I watch sports players do it. Like, they got it. Like, they traveling during the week, like weekdays, weekends, and I'm just like, okay, so it's not singular to me, but what are they doing to cope? How do they make the most of it when they come back? How do I like really show them that I'm thinking about them while I'm on the road and just, you know, capturing these moments? Because now I'm on FaceTime when my kids are playing basketball games and when my son playing basketball game, I'm like, I'm gonna watch this on the phone, you know. But it's just one of those things where it's like, hopefully he sees that in the future what I was trying to get to. There are people lucky enough to get to their careers and be at home all the time because they have they fully functioning cruising altitude of their career. Good for them, right? But a lot of us, we are on a journey constantly, and some of it takes us to move around to spread the good word. So yeah, I hope they understand that if I was not there physically, it was because of me trying to make the rest of their lives easier or better.
And they'll definitely appreciate it in the long run. It's just showing Dad went after his dreams, and like hopefully we're gonna go after our dreams as they, and when they get older, they'll say we go after our dreams as well.
Absolutely.
So in college, you finally saw Eddie Murphy Raw, and you made the decision to go after comedy. Like, what was it just like? You just quit cold turkey? Did you talk to family? Like, once you told them you were gonna do it, like, what was that thought process when you told them?
Man, I watched it. I remember thinking that night. I don't know if I told anybody direct, or if I told my mom. I think I wouldn't have told my mom. I probably would have told my sister or brothers, like, yo, I think I know what I want to do now. And it was a pretty quick decision because I was living in Indiana. I'm from St. Louis. It's 2008. And my roommate at the time, I think I told him first, like, yo, man, I think I'm about to be done with this. I think I'm moving to LA to do comedy. So I know for sure that time period because the iPhone 3G had just came out, and I was like, I'm finna go get that. And when I went to go get it, I'm at the AT&T store, Singular store, I think at the time. They were like, all right, what do you, let's get you a new phone number, because I was with like a different carrier at the time. And I said, you know what? Yeah, it's a good idea. Can you make it a Los Angeles area code? And they were like, we need like a LA address to do that. Why do you want to do that? Are you from LA? I'm like, no, I'm gonna move there. And like, have you been there before? And I was like, no, but I'm moving to LA, so give it to me now. So when I get there, I'll just blend right in. And they were like, that's okay. And so I had a 310 area code phone number back in 2008. And then for the next 2 or 3 years, everybody I met would take my phone number and go, 310, what's that? And I'm like, LA. And they're like, are you from LA? I'm like, no. I'm like, okay. And then when I got to LA and started doing comedy and gave my number out, nobody ever asked that question again. But I went through a long period of time. People were just like, so you're moving to LA, so you got an LA phone number. Got it. Good luck with that. And now, I'll never get that question anymore. But it was just one of those things where I was like, I got to start making things, make myself believe it's happening. So the first decision I made was get a California phone number. You about to move to Cali. Like, I had to like start living the life I wanted. That was one of the first steps. But yeah, not too many people wanted me to, or thought I was going to do it for real, I think. Only a couple people may have believed me. And my little sister for sure was one. But other than that, I don't know if everybody else really thought he ain't going to Cali. He ain't never been there before. So
did your family have a hard time accepting it? Because you did say, you know, you grew up in a family, a church family, going to church. Did they have a hard time? Because they know a lot of times with comedians, not all comedians, but a lot of them do use
language. Absolutely.
So did they have a hard time accepting it?
My mom was just like, if it's not church related, I don't know what you're doing, but you know, if that's what you want to do, go ahead. You know, I don't know if that was a big endorsement, but she's like, I can't come to any shows, obviously, because I don't want to hear no nonsense, no non-religious talk, which is fine, you know, it's like, whatever, that's not a big deal. My uncle thought I should stay in St. Louis and try to build my comedy career there first and then move to LA, which, if you're watching this, it makes a lot of sense to build a following somewhere, because trying to build it in LA as a newcomer, very, very hard. So I definitely struggled with that the first couple of years. But my little sister thought, she's probably been my biggest fan. She's like, you're hilarious, move to LA, absolutely. My brothers were like, we'll see if you really do it. But you know, I went to one open mic in St. Louis. They only had one comedy club in St. Louis when I left. And they only had open mics once a week. So I said, how am I gonna get better once a week? I gotta move to LA now. And so that's kind of how I expedited that trip, moving to LA. I was like, I gotta go now because I can't get better 1 week at a time. So my dad, when I finally started getting shows back in St. Louis, he came to one of my shows, which I didn't think was gonna happen. And when I flew back to LA, he kept calling me every day, like talking to his homeboy, OG. Hey, my son will come. Next time you come back from LA, you go ahead and catch one of his show. Where you performing at next? They truck drivers, they might drive there. I'm like, what? And I drive to LA to see my show, Dad. So, you know, that was kind of a cool feeling because, you know, my dad was always kind of like stoic, don't react too much, just even keel. And so to see him actually react to something, even if he didn't react to it in the moment, like he came to the show, gave me his signature, like, all right, I was at the show. And then like 2 days later, just be like, hey, tell him your name. So they tell him your name. I'm going to tell him your name so he can check you out. Like, you tell him my name.
Every comedian that we've been interviewing is saying that when they got started, it's just like open mic. Is that like the key to getting into comedy? It's just like doing an open mic? And what is it? Is it just going up there just freestyling, just telling jokes, or do you need to have some type of structure? But everybody's saying like open mics was what they went to.
I don't think it's the key. I think it's the only place where you can go where somebody will allow you to talk. Like, you can't walk up nowhere else, especially not being famous, and walk up and take people's time up. Because A, they don't know you, B, they don't trust you, C, you're not funny yet. So when you go places where they go, all right, we don't know what y'all do, but we've created a window of time where anybody can go up and do this much time in 3 minutes and figure yourself out. Luckily for you in certain cities, and especially LA, there are comedy open mics, because some of them open mics are blended, music and comedy, or spoken word, or poetry, all of that. Mm-hmm. So if you find a comedy open mic, you find a lot of people that are just working on jokes, which means that everything cannot be funny that entire time, which makes it a little bit more of a safe space. Hey, we all are sucking right now because we're all working on new jokes. You just have to be the first person working on your first joke ever. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, well, I gotta find an open mic. I gotta find out somebody's gonna let me tell a joke for a couple minutes and work on myself. You think you have jokes when you first go up there. You just wrote down funny ideas. And then you go upstage and realize like, oh, these are just funny ideas out loud. There's no structure to it at all. Mm-hmm. Like, it don't make sense if you just said it out of context. So as a comedian, you gotta create the context to make the humor. So that was what you spend a lot of time doing, is figuring out, I have a funny thought, but how do I make it funny to strangers who have no idea what I'm about to say? Versus us shooting shit and then saying something funny.
Right.
Everybody got that, you funny in the break room, everybody says you funny in conversation. That's because the context was already there.
Right.
Could you walk onto a public bus and then say something and everybody go, hey, you funny people, guy we don't know, and walk into the bus for no reason. Context is everything. So yeah, that's when you realize how, as a stranger, how do I create a situation and then make humor out of it? Mm-hmm. You know, so you should be right. You should be creating that, and that's what takes the longest.
You said earlier that when you were when you started, I think you started a little bit back home. I think was it
in St. Louis? I did one competition for 3 minutes, and it was a grand prize. I forgot what the grand prize was. That was the first time I got on stage in St. Louis. It was for one competition. I didn't place, didn't win, and I was like, well, I'm moving to LA. These people don't get
right. And that's what I was
arrogance. Sheer arrogance to that.
Would you recommend people to like wherever they are build a following at home and then come to LA? Because like your journey, I mean, it's working out for you.
I would say that is the strongest way to do it because you have a support system. You have a support system where you're from, where somebody will actually go and put something together, y'all. Yeah, I might not be perfect yet, but if I just want 15 of y'all to come support me real quick and check me out, build my craft. That's a great idea to go somewhere where people know you and trust you at, right? Whereas I was like, all right, I'm in LA, I don't know nobody, and I'm gonna try to do comedy, and I'm only gonna get chances on stage 3 minutes at a time for the first 5 years of my career on the path I just created for myself. But if you can go to St. Louis, go to Chicago, go to Indiana, go to Texas, build yourself up, and then get your family to come out and check you out one good time and get that positive reinforcement, and then maybe some other people thought you were funny, and then you got more people that want to check you out, it just helps. And then some comics get a little time under their belt, and then they go, all right, now I'm going to check out LA. A lot of comics in LA, professionals go, don't come to LA unless somebody invites you. Otherwise, you ain't getting on stage. You might get on stage, but it might be some bullshit. So don't come on stage, don't come to LA unless you booked, is what a lot of people say. Which is fair, right? Even though I was in LA, I wasn't booked on nothing. You know, I wasn't getting into the big clubs. I still am working on getting into big clubs. I performed at all of them, but I'm not a regularly performing LA comic in LA, meaning the big 3 or 4 clubs that are in LA, that, you know, especially the ones that are in Hollywood, right? So those are the ones that people are like, are you performing there regularly? Which is the title, are you a paid regular? If you're not a paid regular at those clubs, then you're just trying to be one, which takes the longest. So, but don't let me tell you how to do it. I just went my way, and then I made the most out of my situation, which was take the stage time I could get in LA, but then reverse engineer it. And so I would use my living in LA and being an LA comedian to book myself in really small towns everywhere else. Like, hey, LA comedians coming to your city, you think I can get some stage time? And they'll be like, LA, hell yeah, I'll sell it to my guests, you know? So I was like, hey, I'm making people book me off GP, not even knowing if I'm funny or not. But I was using those opportunities. Even if I bomb, I'm getting way more stage time now with a brand new audience. What's the worst that could happen? You know, so I got better faster because I kept manipulating the situation of being an LA comic to get more stage time, even though I wasn't really an LA comic yet. Now, if I come to your city, I'm an LA comic. I do shows across the country. I perform in LA, and now I can build that to people that are trying to like get people to come out. But back 8 years ago, I should not have been telling people that. But fake it till you make it is one of the realest things ever. Like, I really did have to like sell myself a lot. That's actually how I got my first headlining at a comedy club, which was back in my hometown. That was my first time coming back to St. Louis to perform. I emailed the club and said I'm bringing the headliner with me. And they were like, okay, we'll give you one night. And I was like, deal, perfect. Headliner won't come in at all. But
you already knew it.
I already knew how to package it up. I was trying to promote it. And marketing gave me a date. We locked it in. About 4 days before the show, I go, there are tickets already selling. Like, hey, they ain't gonna make it. But don't worry, I'm ready. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, don't worry. I'll be there. I'm gonna perform. I already got the set ready. A lot of people that's coming were coming for me anyway, so we'll be fine. And they were like, if this fails, I'll cancel the day up.
Hey.
But the room was packed. I go out there, I do 45 minutes.
Man.
And it could be first time, like gambling, beginner's luck, whatever it is. It went so well. The crowd was laughing. Everybody's having a good time. The club manager walked by me at the end of the show and go, great show. Let us know whenever you want to come back. And I was like, what? Man, that was literally the first night I said to myself, oh man, yeah, I think this is what I'm gonna do. I think this is gonna be, I'm gonna call it a career. Like, this is life for me now. Whatever this just was, I can do this every day.
And I was gonna say, was that the moment that you feel like I belong?
Belong, yes. That was my belong moment. Like, I've done funny sets and I had a good time, but to be on stage for 40 minutes in the quote unquote headliner position, and even though it's your hometown, people rooting for you, you still gotta be funny. Otherwise, you get those huckle laughs. But it was like, nah, we laughing. And like, it just felt like I was the most natural I've ever been because I didn't have any pressure. I had nothing to lose. I was like, this club gave me this night. They don't know I was fucking around. Like, I created my set like it was like the last set ever. I'm like, no, if I'm gonna go out with a bang, they gonna ban me from this club for lying, but I'm gonna get my best jokes.
Hey,
going
you
out.
in there now.
So with that mindset, I just did it, and I was like, if I could do 40 minutes like this, I could do this anywhere. And so that was my first time that I was like, nah, I'm a comic now. I'm a comic. You know what I'm saying? Like, professional comedian, like all of that stuff. I feel like it does take time to get your like big break moment. But in terms of am I a comic? Absolutely. I'm definitely a comic. If I can headline your club, do 40 minutes, I'm a comic. You know what I'm saying?
What's been your experience with other comedians? Are most comedians like? Cause I look at a guy like Martin Lawrence, super hilarious. But then like when I've seen him like do interviews, and he's kind of like he seems like he kind of shy and very laid back. But when it's time to get on the stage or on the show, he's hilarious. Like he's able to just turn it on. What's your experience with like comedians that you interact with? Are they just on already always on? Are they shy, laid back, or like how's
so many comics to me are not on. Like I feel like they either it's not an alter ego or anything. It's just that part of their personality is that I get up for my role. I get up for when it's time to work. Like I don't know. Best example like sports. Like if you saw LeBron at a mall or something, he wouldn't be shooting buckets, right? He wouldn't be working on his phone or be like, I do that when it's time.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that people like to distinguish or separate their skill set from their day-to-day life. But when comedians are in a circle chatting and rapping, it's humorous, but nobody's really trying to make anybody laugh per se. A funny moment might happen naturally because we're all like, this is what we do. Something funny will be funny. But there are some comedians that walk through and go, this dude is always on. He's always like this. This is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it's just different personalities. You know what I'm saying? Some guys are like completely quiet until stage time. Don't talk to you at all. Don't even make eye contact. They get on stage and turn to a bazooka. So I've always appreciated different types of comedians like that. I like to think that my personality on stage and in person is the same guy. But I feel like the closer you get to that, that's when you're in your final form. You know, like I feel like Dave Chappelle speaks in comedy at this point in his life. He speaks in stand-up. If you talk to him in person or on stage, I don't think there's any transition. So it's like how I talk is how funny I am now.
Right.
And you know, I tour with Tony Rock sometimes, and to me, he's at that point too, where it's like how I talk to him in the green room or outside of a club is exactly how he talks on stage to everybody in the audience. And I think when you get people that sound that comfortable on stage, a lot of audiences, their general perception is he making up jokes on like, is he doing that just now? Right. Or they can't tell prepared material from the natural voice, which is like, that's when you have reached full confidence in your work, when nobody can tell your transitions.
Speaking of Tony Rock, I remember the first time I saw him was last year. He had like a birthday special back in June at the Laugh Factory.
Oh yeah, Laugh Factory.
And actually, I think I was telling you the other day how that came about was because I was just trying to figure out a way to get out here and just do interviews. So I reached out to Lonnie Crook.
Love Lonnie, yeah.
And
one of my judges for the comedy festival.
Shout out to Lonnie. Thank you for the opportunity as well. So I reached out to her and I was like, hey, is there any way possible to like come out there and do interviews with comedians? And if you're interested, you're more than welcome to share your story as well. And she was like, I'd be happy to, share my story. And she said, you can come out here. Plus, I had already had some other interviews lined up as well. But that Sunday was, he had a special for his birthday out there at the Laugh Factory. That's where I met Bilal at also.
Okay, I'm like, that's funny. I was there.
Yeah, Bilal was there. That's when the first time I met him, and he was sharing his story. He was just kind of new to being out here.
Yeah, well, he probably should have been new by that time too.
And he was kind of like, he was telling me he was just trying to like peep the scene and see what's going on. But I met him out there. But yeah, that was my first time, seeing Tony Rock. And I didn't know he had some family from
out of South Carolina. People from South Carolina.
I was sitting beside some of them, like up
Charleston.
Yeah, Charleston. Yeah,
okay.
They came out there for his birthday special, and they was sitting beside me, telling me. I was like, dang, it's crazy how
small world.
It is. Funny. It really is, man.
Interesting.
Yeah. So how did that situation come about with you getting that opportunity, working with Tony Rock?
Great question. Hanging out, man. Like I So when I quit my job at the banking, I was in banking up until 2021 or 22. I feel like I was so the backstory. I was so overworking. I was like, I think I'm ready to just do the comedy thing full time. I think I can't focus on work anymore. So I quit my job in the Laugh Factory, one of the big 3 Hollywood clubs that are in Hollywood. They have an open mic since the beginning of time on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock every Tuesday. So if you're a comedian and you're trying to get noticed by the club, you go to the open mic and you do your 2-minute audition. If your 2-minute audition goes well, you get called back to do another performance, right? And so, I'm sorry, it's a 1-minute audition. 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, actually it's 2 minutes. 2-minute audition, you get called back for 3 minutes. So I was going there every Tuesday, and you gotta sit outside in line and all that. And so when you get called for the show, you gotta get on the audition show, you perform, and the show is at 5 o'clock when you do the audition. Now, so on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock, you're in Hollywood. I live all the way, hour, 45 minutes away, going back to Inglewood. So I'm like, I'm not driving back home just to come back out. If I go to Hollywood at 5 o'clock, I'm hanging out the rest of the day. So it turns out I would go to that audition, and then there was the other Hollywood club, Improv, is down the street. So I'm like, they have auditions too right after that. So I'm like, oh snap, I'm gonna get done with my audition, go down the street, and then do that audition. And then by that time, that's over 7 o'clock. That was time for the shows to start in Hollywood. So I'm like, I'll just go back up to the Laugh Factory and hang out at the show now since I'm already over here. And as I was doing that, I realized that every Tuesday I'm at the auditions. I come back at 7. There's a black guy hosting the show here. I'm like, oh, well, that can't hurt. There's a black comedian at the club, Ruben Paul, by the way. Ruben Tuesdays is the name of the show. And so when you see somebody who looks like you kind of like, even more interested in what's going on.
Right,
this guy's had success. For me, I can reach out and understand what's going on from him. So I started coming to that show and hanging out. I introduced myself to Ruben. He's like, yo, man, if you're a comic, you should just be seen. You should be visible, work your way up. And I asked about trying to get on his show. And he's like, have you been called back to on Tuesdays yet? Have you won set of the night yet? That's what the whole thing is for. Every Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Best set gets called back for set of the night, you get to perform again. And once you do that like enough times in a row, they'll give you a chance on their Fresh Faces show. So he was like, have you done Fresh Faces? Have you won set of the night yet? And I was like, oh, I ain't done none of that. He's like, win your set of the night, get on Fresh Faces, get seen by the owner, Jamie, who's the owner of the Laugh Factory, and you get all that done, holler at me. Maybe I can get you on a show. So I was like, all right, bet. So I kept coming on Tuesdays. And I come on Tuesdays, I would do my same routine, go to the other club, then come back for the 7 o'clock show. Lo and behold, I started coming there Tuesday realizing like, man, I'm like Tony Rock over there every time I come here. And it was. And this is like 2 years ago, right? But I had seen Tony Rock when I first moved out here 10 years ago. He was hosting this show, All Deaf Digital. Russell Simmons would basically do like a variation of his Def Comedy Jam show in LA, but it was just a weekly show, and Tony Rock was the host of it. And that's when I found out that he was a stand-up. I just remember from all of us.
Yeah, I remember all of us too.
Yo, that's Tony Rock do comedy. So I'm watching him host these shows, and he's just killing it every week, and I'm like, this dude hilarious. And I wanted to speak to him back then because there was always a hangout afterwards. I'm like, nah, I ain't funny enough to be walking up on comedians. And so now, 7 years later, I'm seeing him. Now he's only 30 feet away, but I see some comedians I know in LA sitting nearby him. So I kind of go like, hey, say what's up to those comics, say what's up to him, and they can walk away. And I said to myself, I ain't gonna say nothing to him unless I got a question to ask him. And so sometimes he would go up on stage because Ruben would have like a comic missing, or he's booked a Ruben show, and I watch him kill again. I'm like, this dude just be killing all the time. So I was like, all right, I finally got a question to ask him. I'm like, hey man, I remember watching you back in the day, and I had my monthly show at the time too, because I just quit my job. Like, all right, watch me doing shows. I'm hosting my own show. I was like, Tony, man, how'd you get so good at hosting? I don't understand, like your crowd work, everything's so just crazy. And he was like, he gave me his answer about how he got to how good he was. And I was just like, that's a great gold nugget. You know what I'm saying? And that was kind of where I left it at. I was like, thanks, I want to buy it. That's all I wanted to know. But coming there Tuesday, more comics that I knew was sitting nearby, and they like, yo, pull up a chair. You know what I'm saying? And we always shooting the shit. Like you said, are comics funny? Are they talking? What's going on? I would, start throwing out my input a little bit here and there to the room of comics, and everybody, like, either I say something really, really funny, or I say something really, really insightful. And I think Tony started to notice, because he'd be like, hey, what did you say? And he'd be like, and he like nod his head, like,
just taking notes.
This nigga got sense. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, now all this is happening, the Tuesday auditions, I'm winning these. Like I'm winning. And then, but the bookers were like changing at the time, so it was doing a little bit of like employment change or role change. So I impressed one booker, and that booker kind of be gone. And I impressed another booker, and that booker would be gone. So now I'd have won 11 times. And it's a weekly event. And you get called back to perform again. So if you do 11 wins, that's at least 22 times I've been performing in, 6 or 7 months. It's only 4 weeks in a month. So imagine this, I'm on stage every other week. So by the time period, comics are coming back and going, because some of the audition comics would come and be back at 7 o'clock too and be like, this dude keep fucking winning, ain't no point in doing the auditions. And he'd be like, who? And like, this dude, John. And he's like, everybody keeps saying you're funny, I never seen you perform before. And I'm like, I'll fly to any city you're performing at on my dime and I'll do a guest spot if you let me. I'm funny. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. Wherever you going, I'll fly there, anywhere. And he's like, all right, well, I'm going to Chicago. I'm like, I'll buy tickets right now. He's like, all right. and so like, I was like, I gotta be ready. No matter what happens, I'm always gonna offer. Like, hey, I'm wherever you got me going, I'll do a guest spot. I'll show you I'm funny. Chicago did end up working out. But everybody watched that conversation and was like, whoa, shit, John, oh, you better not bother me. So I was like, I didn't end up going to Chicago, but all right, we'll come to Tacoma. Tanae Jackson's comedy club in Tacoma. So I was like, bet, I'll go to Tacoma then. And so when we got back from Tacoma, I did my sets, and I came back, and all the comics were just sitting in the room like, well, how did John do? And he was like, John did his fucking thing. Everybody's like, ah! Everybody started high-fiving me and shit. And it was funny. I was like, okay, cool. Because he didn't tell me either. He was like, I'll let everybody know once I get back from Tacoma how Grimy did. That's what he calls it. He calls it Grimy. So everybody just sitting in the room like, all right, it's Tuesday. I'm ready to hear results. And so that went well. And then I guess like from there, it just kind of ended up being like a thing where I was like, hey, that was fun, man. You know, if you ever want to do that again, I'm happy to book myself anywhere. I'll go anywhere to perform. And so I think he was about to offer me another spot, but he ended up losing the feature one weekend. It's like, you want to come feature? Which is, I did an opening spot originally, which is a 10-minute set. Feature is a 30-minute set before the headliner comes out. And Tony's shows is just 2-man. So there's no real host or opener. It's the feature doing 30 and then Tony. So it's called a 2-man. And a lot of comics do that if they don't want a host or don't care for a host or don't, you know, but it's really a confidence thing. That means you got trust in your guy and then your person and then you. So it's a dope setup if you do it. That means that we bring out 2 funny people and that's it. So I got to do that with him in Columbus, Ohio, and that was an insane experience to feature for an entire weekend. And then like here and there, it just ended up being a thing where it's like, yo, I'm hitting the road, I got my features, but come still come and open up the show. So now, since maybe like September, he gave it up to finish the rest of the year out with him. Like, I can do every weekend with you except for my festival, you know? So that was an unexpected thing that happened while I was planning for the festival, to be taken on the road the rest of the year. And, you know, we're done with the festival, but I'm about to be in Austin in 2 days.
Man,
you know?
so that's a blessing.
So,
man. Look how it all came about, and then you were just willing to, you know, bet on your own dime and bet on yourself and just go out there. Not knowing what the outcome will be, you were still willing to go out there and just take a chance and bet on yourself. And that's so important. I tell people, man, just bet on yourself. Like I said, you can be willing to invest in yourself and take that chance, regardless of what the outcome is going to be. Whether you get what you want or not, it's still something you can learn from.
Being game ready, like to me, the phrase "if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready," it means a lot to me, man, because I know what people want now. Like if they offer you the opportunity, they expect you to be like, it's like that. I've already done my work to get where I'm at, so if I'm extending it to you, little nigga, like you better say yes. There's no reason to say no. I didn't fly up out of St. Louis. I didn't give up my close family relationships or spending quality time with family or people in their last years of life, like to be in LA 2,000 miles away, to not be ready for somebody to go on stage right now. What am I doing here if I'm not ready to do that? So, and the investment of saying I'll fly anywhere is me saying like, I'm not here for no other reason, man. I only want to do stand-up. A lot of people say, do you audition for movies and shows? I don't audition for nothing, dog. I am a comedian. That's all I care about. If that TV stuff comes, sure, but my only goal is to get better and better at stand-up. And so, like, to have been ready and then take those stage opportunities and then do that. What I did that weekend, that was exciting. I was like, I'm not nervous about that. I'm excited about that. You know what I'm saying? So change how you feel. Some people get nervous about opportunities. Like, I'm excited. Please, anybody say they want to give me a spot to see how I am on stage, please. I'm excited.
I've interviewed a couple of times. I've interviewed Shannon McCullum. He's a celebrity photographer down in Atlanta, but his son is Lil Yachty. Great guy. And when I interviewed him, and he was actually on tour with he went on tour with, I think it was a tour, the Company Get Down tour with George Lopez, Cedric the Entertainer, D.L. Hughley, and Charlie Murphy.
Yes, got it.
He went on tour with them. So when I was asking him, like, how did that opportunity come about? He was like, basically at one point in time, he was a photographer for Mike Epps. He was on the road with Mike Epps. And originally Mike Epps was supposed to have been on tour with them, and something came up, something happened, and he's like, well, there goes my opportunity, be around those legends. But he still had his credential. They had a show out in Greenville, South Carolina, out there towards where we stayed in, and he just went out there on his own dime, without Mike Epps being there, because Mike Epps was his guy, the access to get in there. He went out there on his own dime, walked in there with a camera, started shooting pictures, and they was just like, it's like, who you here with? He was like, nobody, I'm just here by myself. He said, I just showed him his credential, and I'm assuming he told him that, he was, working with Mike Epps. So they was like, all right, that's cool. So meanwhile, while everybody was out went on stage, taking pictures, and then after that, and I don't even think he told him like who his son was. Yachty is one of the biggest artists like in hip hop right now, and they saw his work, and next thing you know, he said they just started, bringing him back, continue to shoot for him.
Wow.
Even now, he's still working with D.L. Hughley and travels a lot with George Lopez as well. But he's like their go-to photographer. Yeah, great guy. But he was just saying the same thing. It's like he just flew out there on his own dime, started taking pictures. They saw his work, and next thing you know, he was still doing his own thing. He was still doing his thing with them. But
world is small, man, because if he toured for George Lopez, Ruben, the guy that hosts the show, Ruben Tuesdays, he toured for George Lopez.
Really?
Yeah, so
he probably knows Shannon.
He might know exactly who that is.
He probably knows Shannon.
I'll see him tonight. I'm like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, how small is the world? Like yeah.
It's crazy, man.
But that's how you know you're in the right places. Because it's not coincidence.
Exactly.
Like, all these things ain't coincidences. You have to put yourself, like that laid out path for you, that's not your path. Your path is over there somewhere, and you meet acquaintances along the way that bring you still back to the end goal, which is happiness and success. But you don't go the same straight arrow path that everybody else does. So that's interesting, man. You just never know how people are connected.
It's crazy, man. It's so crazy. Like you're saying, it's just all the way from where we are, South Carolina, to out here, knowing, having these mutual, being in certain places. Maybe not at the exact same time, but we come across these same people, man. That's a special feeling, man.
Definitely.
When you, I remember seeing I want to go back to your job real quick. You said you quit your job 2 years ago?
It'll be 2 years in March coming up. I quit in March.
What was that feeling like, taking that leap of faith, not expecting what to do? Because for me, I quit my job about 3 months ago. I left back in September, not knowing what to expect. But I'll let you go ahead. Like, what was that experience like for you, taking that leap of faith to quit your job?
It was weird because I always said I had a 10-year plan. I moved to LA with a 10-year plan. I would say, all right, John, when you get to 10 years, you'll see how funny you are in comedy, and that will determine if you can quit your job or not, or if you're going to end up saying to yourself, you know what? I gotta just chunk it up to not being, the level I thought I'd be at, and just be a banker and just provide for your family. But at the time, I think I haven't felt actually, I just keep working, but maybe just do comedy recreationally. This is all 10 years ago. Like, all right, I don't know how it's gonna go, but I know I'm gonna pursue comedy. And for 10 years, if I ain't nice, you gotta be a realist with yourself. Because I had a couple siblings, like one of my brothers rapped. They only rapped for like 3 years and gave up. My little sister wanted to be a singer. She moved to LA months before I did and moved back before I even got out here, trying to pursue music. And so I said to myself, man, I've read enough to know that people believe in this 10,000 hours theory. So I'm like, gotta give yourself 10 years. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna move to LA, 10 years, I'll see what's up. I'll get a job to make money. But in 10 years, if I'm not nice, I'll just stay at that job. I didn't have a job to move to LA. I just saw a bank at the end of my street. It was like, I can sell, surely I can sell whatever's in the bank. And so I ended up being really good at banking. Like I got in as a personal banker and got promoted 3 times in 3 years, 2 years. So I'm in corporate banking 2 years in. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even be as friendly as I want to be because I got real job crap to do now. So, but just fast forward, I stayed in banking, and my girl around the 8-year mark, we started to want to get a house. And so I remember her saying, I don't care whatever you quit your job as long as we get this house. So we got the house, and then she was like, I thought you would quit by now that we have the house. Because I was slowly saying to her, like, I can't go back to work again. Every day, I clock in at 8, and I'm just counting down 5 o'clock from 8 a.m. That's a lot of time to count down. And so I was just like, you know what? You said after we get the house? She's like, yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take you up on that offer. So I booked some shows for like St. Louis and out of town, and I just walked into the office and was like, hey man, I'm done the next Friday and the last day. Like, I can't keep coming to this bitch, you know what I'm saying? He was like, I feel it. I wasn't telling people I did comedy a while, so this is the first bank in a long time that I was just like, hey, I'll do comedy, see I know. So I feel like they was trying to get a vibe, feel like, oh, this dude don't really, he ain't a banker, you know, so my manager was just kind of like, oh, I get it, bro. It seemed like you were kind of checked out, and I was like, I was. And I don't want to make y'all suffer for that, right? So I'm literally all in on comedy now, and let's hit the ground running. Now, uncertainty was rampant because I had got laid off 5 years ago, and I said, that's a sign for me to quit. Remember that corporate banking thing I was mentioning? I got promoted to that, and then magically got laid off. And I was like, they gave me a severance check. I was like, oh, this is a sign from the Lord. I'm about to take this money and just tour the world. Nothing happened. So I was like, I know what happens when you're not booked in comedy. So I was like, all right, I'm quitting the job this time. I'm still not booked for the rest of this year, so we'll just see what happens. And I had no plan, but I knew I wanted to quit. I did those shows, and I was like, oh shit, the rest of my calendar's empty as hell. So it's kind of ironic when I was winning all those callbacks, and I had just met Tony and all that. I was just like, it was all lined up. Like I met Tony, he invited me to go do that spot. And I met the man who owned the building. He was like, you want to do your festival at my place? And I was like, what? Yeah, whatever. So all that happened in like the last 3 months of the year after I quit in March. I went on the road with Tony one time. I created a comedy festival, and then I went on the road with another comedian, Chinadu Wanaka. And then that was just the end of my 2022. And I was just like, okay, well, that was not a bad quitting year. Like, there were some good positives, but I'm still not busy. And even now, I ain't busy outside of like the work I do with like the festival and like touring with Tony. Like I'm not having crazy weekends where I'm just booking myself every time, but my girl was on board with it. And so she's just like, yo, if you can just get this and that, I'm gonna give that what you do, you know what I'm saying? So it takes a support system for sure. Shout out my girl for even saying like I can't believe when he quit by now. I was like,
it's major.
Yeah, that right. Let's get up out of here, man.
I just had I had a text message, and me and my daughter's mom, we're great. We're in a great space. We're definitely in a great space, but and like I was telling Mr. Omar McGee, the gentleman that owns Posh Luxury, he was sat right here yesterday, and we had a conversation, and I was telling him that with the situation where we're having with me and my daughter's mom, and I stepped out on her, had my son, but me and my daughter's mom, we still had 2 girls together. And even last night when I was here, like I still had moments where I was just feeling down at times because I was like, I miss my baby being away from him. And I still had times where I was just questioning things, and then she just sent me a text message saying, you know what? She said, just want you to know I'm proud of you, we love you, keep on chasing your dreams and don't give up. She's like, you just know we behind you. And just her giving me that confirmation, and even in that moment, after all these interviews where I still felt a little down, just that confirmation was like, man, it means a lot to hear those words.
It means the most, man. People that know you the most, when they start to validate what you're doing, which is ironic because strangers will validate you so fast. Like people you've been talking to, these interviewees, even agreeing to do it, it's a validation that lets you know, like, I'm doing something right. They're saying yes to my interviews.
Exactly.
Like, you go anywhere else out of your comfort zone, and people are like, we've been expecting you. And your comfort zone is like, we watching. And then, my brothers, in that same year that I got laid off, they did a group call to tell me to stop doing comedy. It's like,
Dang.
you should quit. You should just give up, man. You've been doing it like 5 years, and then you just wandering around, man. Just move into your brand. I think your clothing brand got a better chance than comedy. And I think that's just like how my siblings communicate. They were basically saying, shit, get off the pot. Like, what are you doing right now?
Right.
You know, and that's when I took that. Like, they just wanted me to see what I was going to do. They wanted to see if I was really going to quit or I was going to go harder. And I would say my last 5 years were my most productive years after that phone call. It just kind of aligned that way. Because I was never going to quit, but I just kind of was like, I need to show who I am relative to the field. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know what I can do. So, like this year alone, like one of my brothers, I taped in Indiana, one of my half-hour specials. One of my brothers drove from St. Louis to come watch that. And then my other brother like flies into LA a lot to come for like show nights and things like that. So to me, I'm like, that's their validation of saying, okay, you for real. All right, we're gonna start coming to stuff. We're gonna start going to your things. And now I think we can actually tell people, oh, my brother, yeah, he's a comedian. Like before, it might have been my brother, he moved to LA or he lived in LA. That's all they would say.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, my brother, he do comedy, you know, he in LA.
But now they know
Now they say he a comedian, he in LA. Like they say where I live second. Like his job, his career, nigga does comedy. Like it takes so long to get a title. You know what I'm saying? Like people, and so now it's like the validation. They believe. My family believes now.
You had a post that I saw and it's so relatable. You were saying you would see your friend's success from college and they used to sting. Do you still feel like that at times, even though you're on your journey, or have you kind of like, move past that point?
That was a lot of the time. And there's still reminders because, like I said, I don't think I've turned that corner where it's like, oh, comedy is great. The lifestyle from comedy we still working on. Like where I can say, oh yeah, this comedy paying for a lot of stuff right now. Like that's not where I'm at yet. So when I got successful friends that they buy stuff, they buy things, they buy bottles when we at places, and I'm like, they take care of themselves, but I gotta have grace with myself and go, but they built that from leaving college with their degrees, got their jobs, and they built their jobs with tenure now, they making that real big kid money. If you gave me that exact amount of time from college to now in comedy, which I say is, let's say you about 35 now from college, you should have 13 years post-college of work and money. Like you should be making good money if you're on career path. I'm in year 10. So I'm like, all right, within like 10, 13 years, that's when you start to turn that corner in any career and go, I make good money at my job. I've been here 10, 15 years now. So I look at it like that. No, I'm no longer uncomfortable about it. I accept it. And they all know what I do now to the point where it's like, yeah, we know you do comedy. Like, we know you had a star. Yeah, so, I don't think you're rolling in it. But I'm no longer jealous, no longer envious. And I don't want to say jealous. I just like, dang, man, they living their lives, man. I can't even, my kid, one of them big driver tongue control, one of the kids sit in and drive, like, I can't afford that for my kid right now. So you watch all that and be like, it must be nice, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or them getting a house, or them paying for their weddings. You be like, I'm paying for weddings. Like, okay, like, everything they do, I was like, let me stop looking over there. What they say, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
I had to stop doing that. And the minute, I can't stress this enough, the minute I stopped caring about so many other things, everything in my life just felt better. Everything. I don't care about how well another comedian is doing. I don't care about how much money my friends make from college. It's just like, I'm me now. And like, this is who I am. So whenever I get to wherever I'm going to go, whatever.
I felt that way for a while. Not out of envy, but it's just like, from now, everybody that I hang with, all my brother and all my closest friends, best friends, everybody's married. So then when you see that, and then you see how they become great fathers and husbands, and everything, having houses, their own homes, and everything, like you were saying, you like, dang, man, that is nice. But then at the same time, it's just like, I know I want all of those things, but that's not the way that I want to gain everything.
That's their path.
That's their path. That's not my journey. That's not what I want to do. And I applaud them, man. And it's all love. They're a big reason why I'm able to do what I'm doing now, because they see what I'm doing and they help invest in these microphones.
No, yeah. I had to realize, I had to utilize, and I'm referencing my college friends, right? So we all grew up from like 18, 19, 20, and now we just grown as hell now. So it was a Purdue friendship group is like very tight knit. So you always know what they all up to. You still see them all, and so they thrive and you know what I'm saying? But I've also realized that I have to use that same Purdue network to bring crowds to my shows. Like Purdue Connections had me having like packed out shows in the right times where somebody come see me at a show and go, "You got 150 people in here?" And like some of my Purdue friends might have brought their coworkers or blah blah blah. So now I got one Purdue friend with 8 people with them. Another Purdue friend was set like, so now I got 150 people sitting in the room. They doing well financially, right? So they buying this bar up, and now the owner of the club like, whenever you want to do a show here, let me know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So like that same thing that I was uncomfortable about ended up being like a blessing to me. Like I got these successful friends who spend money when they go out. And now the bar owners, the restaurant owners, which is what a comedy club really is. I mean, it's a bar and a restaurant. So they buy and bought this liquor. That's all the owner care about. Let them keep coming. Whatever show you want to do, my boy. Y'all bring them back every time. So I learned to lean into my relationships and go, they can help me. They want me to win. They don't want me to be a bum comic.
Right.
Do you think they don't want a successful comedian friend to add to their dope
They make them look good
Exactly.
too. They can say I know you.
I'm enhancing.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like utilize that. They don't want you, they wouldn't wait for you to be successful. Like, now we can talk to you. They want like, go bro, go do it. And then it could be like when you get the marina seats, hook your friends up. You know what I'm saying? So sorry, I got long-winded on that.
Oh, it's all good.
about.
I understand because, like you said, the people you love when they support you, man, they gonna always, and they serious about, see you serious about what you're doing, man. They gonna invest in, invest in you with coming to shows. Like I said, with these microphones and the whole kit, man, they showed up. They showed up for me, and I didn't even ask. I'm the type I can go. I like to go get it on my own. I don't like to ask for handouts or anything. But man, they came through and supported me, and we all went out to Buffalo Wild Wings and sitting down eating. And one of my best friends, Marcus, came in with a big box, and it just had kits with microphones and everything. Because I had started buying stuff piece by piece myself. Yeah. Next thing I know, they came in before the very first tour that I went on back in 2020. Put together my own tour, the self-investment tour. Put up my own money, everything, just on the road. I ain't even waiting on no handouts, no sponsors, nothing. Just me putting up my own money going on the road. And right before I went on that tour, that's when they got me some microphones and everything.
So, how that relates to me, and I think it just kind of reinforces how the initial conversation happened, where I was like, yeah, absolutely have them reach out to me, is that when people see you doing something, they see motion, they see activity, and they want to reward that. This is how the universe works. Like if you do something, you put it into the universe, we will respond to it. They saw y'all in motion, they said, how can we support y'all motion? Like I saw y'all coming to LA. I didn't know what y'all coming to LA about yet, really for real, but I was like, if they in motion, I gotta support motion. Like like-minded people will find each other and support each other and build off each other, you know what I'm saying? So like I had never considered this before, but like every festival now I'm like, well, that seems like an aspect that would be great to have. You know what I'm saying? So y'all should credit yourselves with being aggressive enough to go, let's go out here, not even have all of our schedule filled up, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And then we're gonna fill it up while we're here. Like that also is a step of growth because I used to book comedy show weekends where you audition on Friday and the finals are on Sunday. And I'll audition on Friday, buy 3 nights of hotels, and I'm like, well, I'll be here all weekend because I'm gonna be in the finals, and I'll get kicked out in the first round. So now I'm just there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, like, well, shit. I guess I better go watch these goddamn finals and go try to get some stage time while I'm here. But my belief that things will work out is the same crazy belief that'll get me stuck in the weekend while competition happens, but also will get me on some, hey, I will come whatever weekend you performing at, I'll be there too. And if you let me get on stage every night, I'll be there, Tony. So that same crazy dude is the same dude that made himself available for both. You can't have it one way or the other. You gotta be ready to lose, you gotta be ready to win.
Yep, that's real.
Lost, big ass L that weekend. A lot of comics were laughing about that fact that I booked the hotel all weekend long, sitting in the stratosphere by myself. But they don't laugh about that. You tour with Tony, you know what? There's no humor. What's funny now? When they go, well, we keep laughing that. Like you have to believe you right all the time and learn from it. Even if I wasn't wrong, I was just wrong then. I was still right. My intention was right. I just didn't get the W. But I kept that same energy to the next city and go, all right, well, I'm gonna be funny here and see what happens. Boom, 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 boom. Like, so what y'all doing is right, man. So I want to make sure I clarify that to y'all, man, that you're doing the right things.
When we came out here, I probably had about maybe 5 interviews scheduled. And since we've been here since Friday, by Sunday we had over 20 interviews.
I'm about to say, what y'all in that? That's crazy.
It's over 20, and then now, so we had those at the comedy club, and then we had some more with other entrepreneurs outside of that. So we're over 20 interviews.
Awesome.
And with only 5 playing total for the whole entire trip.
See?
Man, it's been amazing. And it's just like, I ain't even see all of this. Like, it was beyond my imagination. And I was like, I tell you, God, you might have one plan, but God's plan for you is going to be something totally different. And it just blows my mind to just see what all we accomplished over this time while we've been out here.
Show up. That is man. Show up. Be there. And then y'all was ready. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You watch interviews from the past of successful people. They say stuff and you go, the generic ass advice. No, dog. Show up. Be ready. Don't be an asshole. A lot of things will happen for you if you do those things. Just be in the right place. The right time happens eventually.
Yep.
Don't be rude to people. Just be open-minded to learning and making connections. And then what you do well, be ready to do it at the right time. And like,
we've done this so many times of setting up the microphones, prepping for interviews, and it's just like clockwork. Now, when we got there, like you said, we didn't know where we were gonna be setting up at an interview like that, but give us a little space, give us some room to operate, watch us work.
Yeah, like I had y'all running around with that bag for a second. I'm like, where am I taking y'all? This don't make sense. This spot don't make sense either. So like, I'm glad that it ended up working out perfectly that way. And honestly, y'all were probably one of the highlights of having that festival, having y'all present and letting comics experience that. And even while I'm chilling, talking to strangers or people, they was like, what's going on? Is that part of the festival too? And I'm like, yeah, why not? Yeah, that's part of the festival.
People was looking at us like
what's going on? I'm like, no, they're interviewing, I guess, like things like that. So it's just something dope to have, and it added another dynamic, I think, that people didn't expect to have, like when they were, because everybody was coming to support my festival, but some people come in to kind of check out my festival. You know what I'm saying? They come in and see how you rolling. Is it trash? What's really going on there? And they come and see that kind of stuff and see y'all stuff. They're like, oh, he official. Okay.
People come over here, they're like, oh, I like the microphone, the gold microphone. They kept on saying that when they come sit down. And it made the comedians feel good that they can have another platform. It's like, because it was like a little stage that we were sitting on.
It looked like it was set up for y'all to be there.
Exactly.
That's the kind of shit I'm talking about. When they started to come off like, was it planned or was it ordained?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
You just gotta be there, and the stage is there for you.
Yeah.
Even in y'all case, the stage was there for y'all. I could never have drawn that up. That's insane to me now I think back on that. But like, there was no better place to put y'all in there.
Exactly.
In the middle of the club, can't miss y'all. Everybody walks in, sees that happening, and going like, "Damn, they got action here. It's real. It's a real festival happening right now."
And everybody, they come over there. They looking at it. Even when people were coming, sitting down at those tables, they looking over there, watching us have interviews and everything. It was just like. That wasn't playing at all. It is crazy, like how you said, just how it all just came together. That was super dope.
Everything was validated. Everything was
super
validated,
dope.
man. Thank y'all.
Exactly. Appreciate you for that. As a comedian, what's off limits to you?
For me, nothing. Now, I am of the mindset that I have to be prepared for the reaction of the audience. And a bigger scale now, the reaction of people who might not have been there but see it online now. So I'm aware of what things make people uncomfortable. I have a lot of jokes that I think people would find out of context ridiculous, but in context of humor are great fucking jokes, you know? So I don't think there's anything off limits, but I am prepared now to say, all right, I know this joke's gonna be wild and it could get weird reactions, but to me, any joke can be done. I can't tell anybody what joke not to do. If you get your ass off a joke, it happens. If you get, ran up on, or you lose a business deal, it's your art that caused it. So I can't tell you your art's wrong.
Right.
Yeah, there's just consequences with every choice.
I just feel like as comedy, that's a part of it. Like you should know what to expect when you go into a show, a comedy show. Like you should know. It's meant to be funny. Nothing should be off limits. Because just think about the jokes that were told when we were growing up.
Right.
Like, they just said anything. They didn't care what they said.
Humor hasn't changed. It's the way people want to respond to it.
Right.
Yeah, because previously people were just like, they're making a joke, I'll get over it. But now it's like, no, I feel like I should share my piece, whether it's in real time while I'm on stage still, or because they just get upset and write a think piece later. But you can't get mad at art, dog, because I feel like if you don't like a joke and you get that outraged about it, I feel like you should be equally as outraged about weird episodes on TV, like Law and Order, SVU. Some creepy stuff happening on those shows. Who wrote that script? Why is that okay? Why is this dude writing weird scripts about kids? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's always something strange to me. Why are they making slavery movies still? Like, dog, we over there, but y'all keep writing niggas all y'all scripts. So, everything ain't cancelable apparently. So, like, I don't like that you can get upset about one art form but not others. Especially when they're way more graphic and way more gross and way more like intense, and they got people acting it out, and then you got a visual of it. I'm just talking to some microphone. There is no way I should have more power than that. But then it's a compliment to us that we got that much power on that microphone.
I just think people sometimes just want to find something to be mad about.
For sure.
Yeah, it just find a reason to take your aggression out or try to cancel somebody, which I'm not a fan of cancel cultures. Like, you just have to find a reason to get upset about something important. Remember, they tried to cancel Chappelle for his but it didn't work.
Still trying. It don't matter because true good will always shine. Like, he's good at what he does. You can't cancel somebody who's good at what they do.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? They wanted Tiger Woods to stop golfing, but he's still better than 90% of the golfers.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You ain't cancel nobody that good. When you good at your job, it's hard to get rid of somebody.
I agree.
I always say, man, if OJ would still be playing football, he never got arrested. Like, I'm telling you. With fantasy football and all that stuff, like, you can't arrest OJ. What?
Yeah.
How you gonna give me 200 points Sunday? I'm not arrested. When you good at your job, it's hard for you to get in trouble.
Yeah.
It's very hard for you to get in trouble when you good at your job. But in the same breath, that's a compliment to them that even though y'all upset, y'all know what I'm writing is fire.
Yeah.
You just don't like the end, who's the end of the punchline.
And it don't stop them from it. Yep.
So keep writing, keep being funny. Don't let anybody tell you what you can't say.
How do you feel about stand up? I mean, not the online comedians, because like I was telling Bilal a couple days ago, the first comedian that I ever interviewed 5 years ago was Daisy Banks, and you know he made his mark doing skits, and he probably had maybe a million followers, just over a million followers when I first interviewed him, and I remember he said he started on Vine, and then started on Vine with like the 6-second clips, and then he just started going to Instagram and different social media platforms. Cause I found him on Twitter when I found him doing a skit. I never forget. It was he did a skit where I had just left the radio station. I was just getting off of work from the radio station, and I saw a skit online where Remy Ma had just did a diss on Nicki Minaj, and he did a skit on that. So that's how I found him, reached out to him, and then we set up an interview. But he was saying how he started on Vine and then went to Instagram and posting on different platforms. And now, of course, you know, he does skits online, and then now he does do stand-up as well. When I first interviewed him, he was just kind of dabbling in stand-up, but now he's doing, of course, still doing the skits, and he's traveling doing stand-up. But how do you feel about like the whole, and not just focusing specifically on him, but just overall like comedians with doing the skits and, you know, doing stand-up as well?
So I like what Donnell Rollins said, that they're comedians. Like a person that makes people laugh is a comedian. You know what I'm saying? So like it no matter how they get there, they're still, their goal, I think, is still trying to make people laugh. Which if that's your goal, then to me you are a comedian. And you're not gonna be like people might not consider you like a pure comic, right? Like a stand-up, if you will. Like somebody might call you like a straight up stand-up versus like a comedian. But I think it's fine because they're building popularity, they're building interest in humor. And comedians, like the ones who start in stand-up only, have saw the success of them with their sketches and said, well, I'm funny and I can write a sketch, so maybe I'll do that too. Maybe I'll get popularity and then y'all get to see my real stand-up, which is also fine, right? So if we're copying their style of getting popular by a viral video, just so y'all can say, surprise, I do stand-up comedy, come check me out at the show, versus them building their following off of comedic sketches and then going, surprise, I do stand-up now too, come check me out. Like, I can't help that. You have your own following, so you do whatever you want with your own following. Like, we're still on the stand-up side trying to build a following. Right. It's just reverse engineering whichever way you want to do it. Like, they're just having a fan base, not creating a show. We're having shows trying to get a fan base.
Do you think it will help, or do you think it'll be like a hard transition to go from, like we said, they do skits and then they transition to stand up. Do you think like comedians like yourself doing stand up can transition over to doing skits? Would that be a hard transition?
I don't think it'd be a hard transition. I just think it's a lot more commitment, time commitment. Like sketches or skits to me are time consuming. Like I've tried the sketches, and I'm like, that's a lot of editing, a lot of video work. I can go on stage and do a 5-minute set, be done for the day. But a 5-minute video of a sketch will take you 5 hours to make.
Right.
So it's like, I don't think that a lot of comics have the commitment to that type of work. So that's why I always give them credit, because it takes a lot to make those videos.
Right.
I never want to discredit them. Like, what was the other dude name that's big now? Probably the biggest dude now with sketches. And
Drewski?
Drewski. All the videos you make, that's a lot of work, dog. I'm not going to take anything away from that man, whatever success he gets, because that's so much work, dog. It's a different field house or a different lane. Like, I make sketches occasionally. They do them shits every day. Impossible for me.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
I can make sketches, but I make them few and far between, and I'm just like, if something goes well with it, so be it. But I think comics have the ability to write funny sketches, and I just think it'd be a little bit different. I think the humor is different.
Give me your, if you had to do a Mount Rushmore comedy, like who would you put on yours?
I usually go Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, Patrice O'Neal, and Richard Pryor. Those are like the 4 comics I think that I rock with the most, and I could play them nonstop in succession and wouldn't have any problems. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sitcoms. I asked Bilal this is real well. You got Martin, you got Jamie Foxx, you got the Wayans Brothers, In Living Color, Fresh Prince. Which one would you say was like your, if you had to pick one, like your go-to, like which one would you choose?
I think I got more laughs out of Martin growing up. Martin was like sure made me laugh the most, I think, out of like the sitcoms, before the Chappelle Show obviously, but during that era, that and Jamie Foxx shows.
Jamie was funny.
Jamie Foxx is pretty underrated. That show is pretty humorous.
Jamie's one of the most talented people that
just
hands down, just
closest thing we'll get to like Sammy Davis Jr. And I'm a big Sammy Davis Jr. fan, so
I like Jamie. I like the Jamie Foxx show up, and then when it got to like the Jingle 2000 episode, that's when it got a little murky.
The later seasons of most shows get a little money starts coming, everybody start getting a little tighter contract. It's just more the contentious. It's hard to be successful for a long time without somebody on the boat, not be on the same page. Somebody probably was on some contract shit like, man, fuck the show, man. I'm gonna last this season anyway. So
do you think we'll see an era where we have like sitcoms like that again?
That's my goal. That's one of my goals. Is that I can't understand for the life of me why the 90s had so many good black sitcoms and black movies. Like I even shout out Bill Bellamy all the time, like for how to be a player. Like, why did we never make a sequel to that? Why do we have so many dope black movies that were humorous like that? The Boomerang era, the Beverly Hills Cop. Like, why do we have so many black comedic movies with good storylines and good writing? And then now we look up and we only got one person with like a mega house. Like Tyler Perry's like got his own. Right, but then outside of that, like, why don't we have more of the Damian Wayans or Keenan? What Keenan did for so many comedians, it's like I see myself saying, like, why can't I open up that many doors for that many comedians? How many people came from living a color? How many people came
superstars?
From that? Exactly. So to me, it means Keenan got a good eye for talent, and I was like, I got a good eye for talent. Like, I want to be funny, but I also want to showcase that I found funny people. So like, part of this goal of my festival is like, keep names of people I think are going to be on their way.
I think the one thing that we might have that's not going to say is close to In Living Color would be something similar to it, maybe be Wildin' Out.
Wildin' Out it's up there. I think the only difference between Wildin' Out and Living Color was the scripting. Right. Like, it's still a live audience, and they do technically script out their scenes and whatnot. I think that the characters that were created, like Jim Carrey's ability to create
Five Marshall Bill,
you know what I'm saying, and the Damon Wayans and the Hated, like all those little things like that. You don't get that kind of versatility as much with the Wild Out as you would with those guys. But they've moved on and pivoted to like maybe music style, like rap battles. But they do different things that showcase other people's abilities. But like the way they
not like a character.
Yeah, I love character creation. That's where you can get to go into your imagination and go, this is just hilarious on itself. So I would like to build out something like that, or variety comedy. Like it's not going. It should be more prevalent, especially with the sketch era.
Right.
Like we are able to make quick sketches clearly. So let's make them as like in scripted format where people can go, damn, the show's funny. They just keep making non-stop funny sketches. And in real time. That's the other thing. You have the ability to make stuff faster. If something's hot in the news right now, we should make a sketch by the end of the week and it'd be hilarious.
Yep.
Very similar to SNL, but like more culturally aware.
I agree, 1,000%. We definitely need something like that. Have you come across any comedian since you've been out here that's kind of had you like starstruck or in all like, man, I'm really in this person's presence right now?
I guess starstruck. I guess that word is something I definitely would have used prior, but the more I've done it and the longer it takes me to run into them, kind of made me go, well, I'm here for a reason now. So I gotta not act like that anymore. It takes away your fun vibe of starstruck because I've been around Dave a few times. I met Dave and I walked by Chris Rock at the Comedy Store once and was like, oh shit, it's Chris Rock at the Comedy Store. I walked by Bill Burr. It was like I was at a bar 2 seats away from Bill Burr, right? And those are comments that I always say, these are my favorite comments. It's crazy. And Dave Chappelle, I ended up sitting outside his green room one night, and before he walked on the stage, I'm just sitting on the stool, and he walks out, and like cool as ever, 4 guards to both sides of him, and he's just like straightening his jacket. He looked over at me, he's like, "Good evening, good sir." I was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And then he just walked right on stage, and I was like, "What the hell was that?" You know, that was just funny to me. So I'm like, if I wanted to say something to him, I definitely wasn't about to in that moment. I just was like, be cool. Yeah. That's Dave right there. You know what I'm saying? So that was a pretty cool moment, like seeing him and like. But we had a comedy club that I hang out at every night anyway, so I didn't feel like it was like out of the blue moment. It just happened to be the night that he was there.
Right.
So, you know, those were some of the cool moments that happened. But I don't know. Starstruck might be if I meet The Rock. I might have to go, oh shit. Because he's like the people that from your childhood can make you go, I'll never be that person. Right. I was a kid when I thought he was a big deal. Versus now being in LA going, I'll run into him. Even when I saw Kevin Hart, I was like, that's fucking Kevin Hart here now. You know what I'm saying? All the people I saw as a young adult, and now I'm like, I expect to see them. But like, to me, Kobe, The Rock, and like, if I'd have been like, I ain't gonna lie, man, I'm losing my fucking mind right now.
The biggest star I seen was almost 10 years ago. I was 22 years old, and first professional NBA game I had ever covered. The Hornets, they used to be called the Bobcats. They transitioned back to being the Hornets. And they played the Milwaukee Bucks that night, and they won the game. And I tell the story all the time. So we walking down the hall, headed back to the media room. And it's crazy because a few days ago, before we came here, I was looking at that picture where I was sitting, I had my suit on, and I was sitting in the media room. But headed back to the media room, we're going this way, and here come Michael Jordan, like walking down the hallway like this, and he got security around him. And Patrick Ewing was right there because he was one of the assistant coaches. And so he going this way and he coming the other way, and I just looked like this, like I was like, man, that's Michael Jordan. But that was like for me being in college, 22 years old, and
no, that's insane.
That was crazy. And before that, we went to ACC Media Day, and I saw Coach K, Roy Williams, Rick Pitino, Jim Boeheim, like all the coaches in the ACC in basketball. I saw all of these guys in one day. And Coach K, we were at the Western Hotel, heading into the media room, and getting ready to walk into the room, and Coach K come out, and he just walking down the hall and speak to me. I'm like, dang, that's Coach K right there. So I saw all of these guys you grew up watching on TV, and then you see them in person.
You see them in HD, you like, these people real.
And then at the end, Michael Jordan just at the end, that was just like the icing on the cake.
No, that's also that's that short list of people that I go, anyway, these people real. If I ever saw them, be like, how you real, dog? Like, that was my Michael Jacksons, the Michael Jordan, the Kobe, the, Prince. I was like, man, you ever meet these people, I'm like, they ain't real. Because if I ever actually see them and be like, I'm sorry, you're not real to me, man. I'm still losing my mind. Right? Mike Tyson too, like people that are so excellent at what they did, and they just happen to still be walking by you. It's like, how do we get in the same room?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you start thinking, like,
and it don't seem real, man. Like for me, I wanted to go say something to him, but I was like, that's Michael Jordan. I'm a kid, man. I was like, I'm still in college, like. I'm just happy to be
You
there.
never know what you're gonna do.
Right.
Shout out to people that take advantage of the moment. And
Yeah.
go, can I get a selfie? Because I can never get myself to do that kind of stuff.
But see,
I want to. I just
right.
can't get myself to do it. But
Now, in the media, they of course they have restrictions as far as like you can't like get autographs and stuff like that when you're actually in the media working. So of course I knew I couldn't do that, but it was just cool to see him. It was like, man, I seen him on TV as a kid, and then you see all those NBA players.
you're in the right place.
So now when I go back to the games, I'm just like it don't really faze me as much.
That's what people ask me all the time. Like, yo, who you seen? Like, who have I seen? I've seen everybody. I just don't think about it anymore. I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, he was there one time.
Yeah.
I take my kids to brunch every year in the same restaurant on Mother's Day, and it's always like celebrities there. And I don't think anything of it because I'm like, well, we come every year. There's always gonna be somebody here. But I just be like, the more things you do, the more you like.
Yeah.
And hang around with Tony, he know a lot of popular people. Friends. So like, I now just go places now and I see people and I'm like, all right, be cool.
The one guy I did see this year for the first time, because back when I was interning, LeBron, he just went back to Cleveland and he was hurt that time, so he didn't come. But back in January when the Lakers came, I got a chance to see LeBron. And that was cool to see him because I was on the court getting footage and snapping pictures and everything. And just to see LeBron, and it was like all the fans, like he's clearly, he's no doubt, hands down the face of the league. Like Steph is great, KD is great, Giannis is great, Jokic is great, but LeBron is head and shoulders the face of the league. Even all the fans, you know how a lot of times if you go to a game and a team is getting blew out, people like to leave early. Lakers were just, they took care of the Hornets, knew they were gonna win. And the fans still stayed in the arena the whole entire time. They were just waiting. They watched LeBron do his interviews and everything. It's like they hung on to every last word, everything. Everybody wanted to just see LeBron, and he has that effect. And then once he went into the locker room, everybody started cleaning up. But LeBron, that was another, cool moment to be able to see, and easily one of the greatest players of all time in basketball, and to be able to see him, that was definitely a cool moment as well. I got a few more questions, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up. So moving forward, like, what are some goals that you have? I think you said something about a sitcom. And what are some other goals you have?
I would like to create a variety style comedy show like that, very similar to like the Chappelle shows and the Living Color, like combine it with a cast of people that I put together, right? Like, 'cause I've been watching these stars on their way up and come in. I want to kind of assemble like an Avengers style era of new comedy that can like really move things forward. So that's part of my goal for the festival, is to keep scouting and finding the future of comedy. That's something I really want to do. Touring on stand-up myself is like obviously goal number one. So if I can get the popularity from comedy to start getting my own shows and tours and theaters, things like that, like I truly just love doing stand-up. That's like my immediate goal, is keep building my brand, keep getting more people to come out and check me out and see what I have to say. And then keep helping others with the festival. Like if I can do comedy all year round at the end of the year, every year, go, all right, now I get to chill for the rest of the year during the wintertime, obviously, and bring people to LA, that's a W. So that's the goal, to keep building, man.
What would you say is some of the best advice that you received as a comedian?
Best advice that I've gotten is really about just finding your voice. And honestly, it's my advice to myself from experience of not doing well, which is trying to make new jokes all the time. I tell young comics, because they always ask me for advice. It's like, hey man, you don't gotta keep writing new jokes. You just gotta make the jokes you currently have sound more like you. The more you do that, the more authentic you'll sound, and people will start to trust you. Trust is built, so whatever you're saying could sound generic, and nobody will know if they really are talking to you or not. When you say that personal story, you say your personal take on something that we all know about, now you're showing what your personality is in humor. And so a lot of comics have to keep writing new jokes and saying new jokes and spitfiring. Just give us who you are through your humor, and everything else will take care of itself. So the minute I started like trying to hide parts of my life and just embracing it all, that's when everything got easier for me. And I'm like, oh, now I can create any joke, because now it's not about the topic, it's about my take on the topic. And that's where all my comedy lies. So be more you in the joke, and you'll be fine. Time will take care of itself after that.
What advice would you have for someone that's going after the dream, if they don't want to be a comedian, but they just want to follow their purpose and just be happy? Like, what advice would you have for someone that's going to go after their dreams?
Advice is to be deliberate. Like, you have to put it out there where people go, no, that's all you're about. Once you line yourself up with it, make it so that it's undeniably you. Like, they should not question what you're about. If you're doing that, then you're at least going the right way. So, hey, I want to start being in media. I'm about to start going to our press releases, going to things like that. I'm about to read up on journalism. I'm about to start interviewing people that will talk to me about it. I'll start mock interviews. I'll start doing things like that that would make people go, I think you might actually be trying to do this for real. When people start saying that about you, it means you're doing the right things. Hey, I want to do comedy. I'm about to start going to open mic. I'm about to start writing more. I'm about to start putting funny statuses on Facebook. I'm about to start doing everything comedy to the point people go, I think this is what you're trying to be a comedian. Like, they're going to start that. That's the curiosity phase. But once they really go, oh, you really do this all the time now? You must really do it. Like, they convince themselves based off your actions. So be deliberate, no matter what it is. People will start gravitating towards you for that.
Absolutely. And then the last and final question that I ask everybody at the end, when we're on the road for the self-investment tour, interviewing entrepreneurs, I like to ask everybody at the end is, what does self-investment mean to you?
Self-investment to me means putting myself in a position to showcase I'm worth it. Making people realize that I've put the work in already to get wherever I am, and that I'm just deserving of a chance, whether it's created by myself or putting myself in a position to get a chance. But I'm gonna keep going no matter what, whether it's financed by y'all, the people, establishment, a business, or by myself. Until I'm completely broke, I will keep building out what I think is the right thing, because I think it's worth it eventually. Whether I'm right or wrong, I'm gonna keep building it out until one of us wins. Whether it's the negativity or the positivity, whichever one's gonna win, I'm gonna keep financing it until it happens.
Absolutely. John, thank you again. And like I said, man, for you to take that chance on us and give us an opportunity, and you sharing your platform with us, man, I'm always going to be grateful and thankful for that, because like I said, you didn't have to do that because you didn't even know who we were. Yeah. You just went off of what Bilal was telling you, and I appreciate him for making that connection, and for you to, listen to him and take his go out on his word, and bet on us to help deliver and help be a part of like making your event a success. Man, I really appreciate you for taking the time. So,
hey, thank y'all, man. Appreciate you, man. Again, y'all doing the right things, and I like to see people get the validation that they deserve by putting themselves out there, because we get a lot of no's. We in LA right now. We get a lot of no's. I don't want to tell you how many people I invited personally to this event that was like, hell no, it's fine. Get the no's. Get the no's out of the way.
Yep.
Once you get the no's out of the way, what's left?
Yep.
Yes.
I just got it. Just for people watching, I just got a note from the Chicago Bears maybe like 2-3 days ago for something I forgot I had even applied for. It was like one of their games, even though they're not. I ain't gonna say that part. But just know I got no for Chicago Bears, and
sometimes it's not right now. Yep. But guess what that means later? You gonna owe me. You gonna have to pay for it now. So I'm never be offended by a no. I love that little caption somebody said, like, you think that the person who invented the iPhone, if you had told them about it, they would have bought into it the first day? It's like, if you got a great invention, just because they're not ready for it, don't mean that it's your fault.
Exactly.
They just not ready for it yet. So treat your gift, your talent, like a new device that ain't dropped yet. And eventually you will be the iPhone at some point. Like, that's how I view everything. My comedy could be too soon for some people. I got niggas that text me right now like about a joke I did 5 years ago. Like, hey, that shit hilarious now, dog. I'm like, it take a minute. It's a sleeper, I'm cool with that. Whenever it hits you, it hits you. That's kind of how all art is. Like, when y'all ready and everything aligns, we take off. But until then, we just keep building.
Absolutely. John, before we get out of here, can you tell everyone how to find you?
Absolutely. John Grimes on John Grimes Comedy on YouTube. Mr. Tan Panda on most other handles. That's MrTanPanda. Mr. Tan Panda. It's my Instagram. It's my Twitter. But yeah, and you can find me at the Los Angeles Comedy Festival every year, baby.
Let's get it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, John, thank you again for your time, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity. And hopefully everyone enjoyed this episode of the Cross the Line Podcast. Till next time, keep chasing your dreams. Thank you for listening.
Thank y'all.